I need to come and watch Tuesday, the 25th of December. A month now, less than a month till the start of Christmas. So look, I hope you're all doing extremely well this evening in whatever you were doing, in whatever you are up to. Let me know what you're doing and what you're up to. I would love to know. First thing to say is get into this amazing community. I'm going to say that this is one of the best communities on this platform. I probably think it is the best, built on respect. So the first thing I always say is be respectful to me, be respectful to the community, be respectful to yourselves, and obviously be respectful to me. Otherwise, the ban hammer comes out, and you will get banned. We don't like to do it. I'm not a fan of it, but of course it does happen. Second of all, I'm not a dictator of this chat. I generally do read out all of your chats. There are super chats, all sorts of things on here, but I'm not bothered about all that. I'm probably the worst salesman in history, in the history of the world. But look, what's more important for me is to get you guys on a stream and talk about things that we really care about. So with that said, look, get into this chat again, get into this community. Dino, legend of this chat. Evening JB, evening Dino. Hope you're extremely well this evening. So after the debacle that was yesterday, all the things have come out today. We've got Amorin in, Amorin out, Amorin sacked, blah blah blah. Everything's come out today. Now, we spoke about this afternoon, spoke about it after the match. What I wanted to do, what is the mood today? The mood today for me is defiant. The mood for me today is one of I'm still disgusted with that performance. The mood today is, what do? We can wallow in self-defeat. We can wallow in, oh, look at us, we are awful. We're going to get bantered. But what I want to know really is, what's your opinion tonight? What's your opinion? Let's just not hold back, right? Tonight's show is an evening show. Harry says, are you still hammering in? Look, I've said this before many times, right? And before I answer it, I want to give you the context of this show tonight. I always play the both sides because I think it's really important for people to get their opinions in, right? I want to. This is for you, Amorim hours tonight. This show is about you guys tonight. You tell me. I'll try to limit my opinions tonight because I want you guys to have your own opinions on this. This is for your Amorim outers tonight. Really, I always talk about, when I do shows, I always give you my opinion. I want your opinion tonight. Are you Amorim in, Amorim out? And I'd love to know why. Are you players in, players out? I'd love to know what you would do. If you're Ineos now, what do you do? Where do you go? And this is because I'll tell you, I'll give you my view. Desmond says Everton will be comfortable. Desmond, mate, you're right. They were comfortable. We had no ideas. Played against 10 men and we had zero ideas. And I've got no agenda against any sort of club. If you're an Everton fan, well done. I mean, what a result that was. There's nothing I want to add to it. There's nothing I can add to that performance. I'm not going to make excuses for this manager. I'm not going to make excuses for this team. Everton were comfortable. Surely by now, regardless of what players you inherit, you'd expect some sort of notable progression. Again, look, get in your opinions. I think that's a fantastic comment to make. So before Harif, I'm purposefully holding back. Right? I'm purposefully holding back my opinion. I will answer the question, but I'm purposefully holding back on my opinion. Simon says, good evening to you. Good evening to you, Simon. It's 50-50 in my opinion. Both players and the manager were to blame. United looked like they had a bad night out from the club. I think that is a fantastic opinion, by the way. I am holding back giving you my opinion on the manager and where I'm at. I want you to get in your opinions first. Look, I'm going to go through the stats. So tonight, this is about you guys, right? This is about you getting in your opinions on whether you are Amorim in, Amorim out. I want your opinions on him. I want your opinions on this club, because I do think the Glazers and I do think Ineos get forgotten about this. Original Pro Master, legend. Hope you're doing extremely well. I just want to know where you are tonight. Let me know. And then I will let you know towards the end of the show where I'm at, and I'll give you my reasons. I'll give you the full breakdown as to where I am. So let's go through some of these stats first. Before we start going through games, look, I think this has to be said, right? Whether I'm Amorim in or out, manager in or out, what cannot be denied is the performances. Sloppy bit of defending, but Lemenge tried his best to keep the ball out. Glazers out. I will tell you this. I will tell you this. Whatever I say, I'm Glazers out, Ineos out. 100%. Amorim out. 100% convince me otherwise. I'll give you my opinions towards the end. I'm not here to convince you, right? Original. Like, I'm not here to convince you. Right? I'm here to listen to you. I'll give you my retort. I'll give you my opinion towards the end of the show, but I'm not here to convince you, mate. Like, if that's your opinion, I respect it. I can absolutely see why people want him out, right? I'm going to give you ammo. I'll give you ammo as well. So I'm not going to hide away from this tonight. I'm going to give you ammo as well, and we can debate it. So look, my friend, get in your opinion. I promise you, I'm not here to convince you. I'm not telling you that your opinion's wrong, because it's not. I can completely see this is a complete mess. But tonight, get in those comments. Equal blame to both players and the manager. The thing is now, how many more Grimsby and Everton performance can they get away before Ineos act? Desmond said the midfield is average. I'd say the midfield is non-existent. I think, Desmond, you've got to have a midfield to be average. We don't even have that. Which says it's high stakes role. Other managers in a lot worse teams have had better turnarounds, in my opinion. Just want United to be a top 6 club again. Great comment. Understandable. We haven't had a replacement for Scholes in the midfield. I don't think we've had a replacement for Scholesy, Keane. I'm going to go back to Carrick, Keane, Scholes. You can't replace those players, right? You just can't. But we've never had the new Roy Keane. We've never had the next Carrick. Completely agree. Big up JB, Palace legend, mate. I am not looking forward to the weekend, my friend. I am not looking forward to the weekend. Glazers out or pay the debt, mate. I am with you. I am with you. Glazers out or pay the debt. I am with you 100%. No matter what we're talking about tonight, no matter whether we're talking about Amorim in or out, and again, getting your opinions on that, getting your opinions of the team. What remains true to me, no matter what I say, no matter what matches we talk about, that golden green top there. And the reason why it's there tonight, and the reason why it is prominent for me there, it is symbolic of what this club has become. And I am 100% the Glazers out. Someone says, I was Amorim in when we had the unbeaten run, but I'll be surprised if he lasts until Christmas. Why Bruno is not playing at Cam yesterday? Again, look, that's one of the things I'm going to talk about. Look, I'm going to give you ammo. I'm going to give you ammunition, because I think it's important, to be honest. I think it's important to lay it bare. I'll give you my opinions on it as well. What were they thinking of when they thought Casemiro and Bruno bossed the midfield at the start of the season? And Dino, we all know what's coming, my friend. That pivot is disgusting. The players are very bad, yes, but who employed these fools in the first place? And that comes down to the club. We can't blame Amorim for the employment of these players. I think at this point we have to look to the club at this point. I forgot who you play. I forgot who you play this weekend. Yeah, we're playing you, mate. Niche fan says has to go simple. We need 2 wing backs, 2 midfielders, plus squad players. Ineos aren't going to fund that. I'm with the manager. Lucky, Nice to have you back, my friend. I hope you're doing extremely well. I'm with the manager. Our aim for the season is top 9 or 8. Stephanie, Welsh legend of the chat, absolute legend. It is pivotal. Pivotal completely. Agree with you. Someone says Everton could have had more goals. I would have been happy with the point. Art Hostage says hello. If this was an away game, if we play like that this week against Crystal Palace, we get smashed. We get absolutely obliterated. And I don't know if Amorim survives that. Look, we've got 9 games. We had 10 games. We've now got 9 games, right? This is a pivotal point. Like this is going to make or break Amorim's season. This is going to make or break him here. Desmond says Oliver Glazner next. Like he says, Ugarte, we need to sell. I don't jump posts just one performance. Champion Manchester City. You could well do. I think Arsenal are going to win the league. I thought Arsenal are going to win the league the whole season. But look, City are not having it their own way either. But City are not the champions. They could well be the champions again. But look, Jets Cox says, raise your hand if you're a team lost home this weekend. Manchester at its finest. Hands up. Hands up. Hands up. My hand is all the way up. Look, Jake, we didn't just lose. I can accept a loss. I can accept getting beat. I can accept getting beat by a better team. I can accept having a performance. I can accept getting beaten by a better side. If it was a penalty that wasn't a penalty, I can live with that. What I can't live with is that performance. I can't live with it. I can't deal with that performance again. I can't do it. It was disgusting. Look, mate, you're spamming. You're going to get banned. Oh dear. Told you before, the ban hammer comes out. Dion says Palace could tear us apart if we are embarrassed again. I think it's all over. We have Palace next, and I wonder what's going to happen to our squad. I really hope that Cunha was fit to play. Big up, JB. Irish. Yeah, legend, my friend. Exactly. If United could take Minors, Mateta and Wharton from Palace, we might win 3-4-3. Tottenham got hammered. They did. City lost tonight. I didn't actually see the scores tonight. I don't care. Look, as much as I respect it tonight, I saw Chelsea won tonight. I'm not bothered about them right now. I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered about Champions League. I'm not bothered about other clubs right now. My club is in a state of emergency, and that's where my focus is now. But so look, I'm not disrespecting the comment. Appreciate the update of the score, but for me tonight, this is where I need to focus this tonight. Chelsea smashed a 10-man Barcelona. Yeah, I agree with you. Will you? Google Chrome says, will you be going to ManCon or SureCon this year? Hit that like button. What's with the spamming? People love a spam. Man City didn't even exist till 2012. 5-1, amazing. Thank God Scott isn't here. I feel the same way about tonight's performance against Bayern, says Jake. Amra's going to go down as the worst manager statistically. The Grimsby loss and the Everton loss will be his defining moments. Sorry, I'm French. Look, you don't need to apologise for being French. There's nothing wrong with being French, right? You don't need to apologise for being French at all. French are welcome here as well. You've made your opinions quite clear there. We are conning ourselves thinking that we're competing for the top 4, JB. Look, I've me. I've said this all season. I've said this from day one. I've said this during the pre-season. Please go back and watch it. Every video. I'm consistent on this point. I've always said we finished somewhere between 8th and 10th. that actually may be overachieving. My original thought process was between 10 to 12. I think we finished somewhere between 8th and 10th. And I've maintained that the whole season. I haven't changed my mind on that. Watch the watch-alongs, watch the games. My mind has not changed on that one bit. Sam says we had more possession in the second half with a man advantage. We should have won. If all teams went down to 10 men, we should beat them with 11. I agree. Grimsby game was a total disaster. I blame Onana and him alone. Nikarutsu, mate, legend. Lovely to have you back, my friend. Early likes, please. Yep. Newcastle lost 2-1 despite being 1 up. Some fans, we have madness. What we got? Rennie, Mucklemeisters, Graham, legend. Hope you're doing extremely well, my friend. Amorim will fall on his sword with the pivot and his stubbornness. The actually worst bit is the plays. Yet again, are pushing him out the door. Our midfield spine needs major surgery. Look, right. A couple of years ago, I had to have surgery on my spine, right? It probably needs more surgery. I mean, I'm absolutely fine, right? And honestly, right, my surgery on my spine did wonders for me, right? I did it going to the gym. I was doing like a deadlift. All the weight went through my spine. My spine basically broke. I got it fixed. Got a metal replacement. Absolutely fun. I play sport. I run. I go to the gym. United need the same thing. United need a spinal fusion with some plates and some screws, and it'll be absolutely fine. So Stephanie says, I wonder if we finish in... I'm confident we finish in the top 20. Oh, I love it, Stephanie. You think we'll be relevant in the next 10 years? No, I don't. We're not relevant now. It's not relevancy, right? We are an irrelevant club. We have been for 10 years, right? My worry is not the relevancy of the club. My worry is revenue. My worry is, will we still be a big club? That is my concern. We've been irrelevant for 10 years, right? I agree with the concept of what you're saying here, but for me, it's not irrelevancy that concerns me. We've been irrelevant for 10 years now. The worry for me is, look, where are the United fans coming from? There are more City fans now. There are more Saudi Arabia fans. There are more Liverpool fans now. Again, citing that they've supported their club for the last 30 years when they were about 10. So you're gonna get a lot of fans now for different clubs, right? So my worry is the dilution of our fan base. I still don't think we got over. I still don't think we got over the 4-0 drubbing by Palace. Every time I think either on a good run of games, something comes along and bites us, and this time it was the ghost of Moyes. The ghost of Moyes. That was not on my bingo card. My focus mentality: get a new midfielder. We really need to get the moths out of the wallet and splurge on midfielders. But X must come and the Scrooge brothers won't help. Yeah, it's like the Marley brothers, isn't it? Scott's in the house. Hello, Scott. Hope you're doing well. So, look, as I promised, I'm going to go through the stats. I'm going to give you all ammunition. I'm going to give you the ammo. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the games. I'll give you my opinion on certain parts of it, but I'm going to give you these stats. So be prepared. I'm sure you guys know the stats. You're intelligent people. It's horrific, absolutely horrific. So, percentage-wise, I said it before, JB. Ineos need to either back him in January or sack him. I agree, Dino. Look, I agree. They need to back this manager or sack this manager. If they sack him, the players have won again. Amorim does have himself to blame though, and we'll go through that. So I'll give you I'm going to give you ammo. I'm going to give you ammo, and then I'm going to tell you how I feel about him. So 24-25 since he's been here, well, in the Premier League, he's won 36.7. Scott, legend, my friend. I'm glad you're here, buddy. In the 38 games that he's played, he's got a win percentage of 36.7, which is the worst of any Premier League manager that we've ever had. There is no hiding away from that statistic. We have Palace, West Ham, and Wolves. I expect us to get 5 points from those games. I can't look. I don't expect points. I can't even predict. I can't at this point. I can't even predict. Nikaruchi says Amorim is one stubborn manager that won't change and adapt, and that's one of the points I'm going to bring in as well. So 36.7% ratio of the 38 games that he's played so far. This consists of 12 wins, 9 draws, and we've lost 17 times. Now, I want you to bear this in mind as well, that of those 12 wins, 3 of those wins have come in the last 11 games, right? So the fact that we've won 3 games this season, we would have had 9 wins, right? We've absolutely, good evening, by the way, JB, forgive my manners, must have been shocked last night's show. Stephanie, you never have to apologise to me, my friend. Welsh legend. It means that, you know, we don't need words. We've got like a special handshake, right? So, of those 3 wins that have come this season, otherwise he would be on 9 wins, right? So he's on, in the Premier League games that he's played, 12 wins, 9 draws, and he's lost 17 times. 36.7% wins. Horrific. There is no hiding away from that. Again, if we're just looking at stats, this is what I'll always say this, right? I like to read out the stats because I think it's really important, because, you know, like as we spoke about today, right? If you look at the Nottingham Forest game, you know, I was having a debate with somebody on here about the Forest game, right? They clearly didn't watch the Forest game because they were saying to me about how, you know, we had X amount of stats, like X amount of shots, X amount of opportunities, X amount of this and X amount of that possession-wise, right? The stats lie. The stats don't tell you the whole story. Forest, we were never in the game. We were awful. Spurs, we were terrible. Yesterday, if you look at those stats yesterday and you watch match of the day, right? And you're a fan that can't afford, and this is what bugs me, and I'm not going to go into it too much because I'll just go off on one, is this is why today when I spoke about fan channels and I talk about those ones and then I talk about match of the day as well, right? If you can't afford, because it's expensive, if you can't afford to watch the games and you rely on some channels, you rely on match of the day to get your info from, right? And they're not honest and they show a biased picture, and you look at those stats, you're going to basically say, oh, Everton weren't lucky. United should have won that game. You couldn't be further from the truth. We were outplayed, out-battled. And this is what I mean about these stats. So the 36.7%, right? 38 games, 12 wins, 9 draws, 17. We lost 17 times. 45 points over 38 games. We're now coming to the point where it's a point per game, right? So if you're averaging a point per game, if you take it over this season as 38 points, that is relegation form, right? So those are the headline stats to me. Now, what do they represent? If you look at those, it doesn't give you context. It doesn't give you context of the players. Doesn't give you context about what Ineos haven't done. Doesn't give you context about the players that they've signed. It doesn't give you context about how these players have played. All you see on the page are these stats. That's all you see. And history would tell you, if Amorim walks, all Amorim will be lumbered with are these stats. Players won't get the blame. Amorim will get the blame. Ineos won't get the blame. The Glazers will not get the blame. Amorim will get the blame for this. Now, some of you may be just like, Amorim out, that is like horrific. I get it completely, right? But I just wanted to prefix that before we now go and talk about the next stuff, because those stats do not encapsulate the whole truth, right? So let me go through some more of the stats. Our first 3 games had Binder in goal, which it cost us points. Also, JB, the formation is not the issue. The players playing in the formation is the issue. They have no idea what Amorim wants. Should change to a formation that suits them better. I do not agree. Let's talk about the red flags, right? Let's talk about now what I'm going to give you some more ammo about Amorim, right? I've said this many times. Said it yesterday, I'll say it tomorrow, I say it every single time we talk about this, right? Is that Rúben Amorim doesn't have his players. That's a fact, right? You asking a manager to come in to play a completely different system to what this club, never mind these players, what this club has never played before. We play 4-3-3, we used to play a 4-4-2. We've never played with a back 3, back 5. We've never done it. You're bringing a coach to ask him to use these players. We need to bear in mind these players have sacked previous managers. They're not good enough. They're low mentality. They're just an accumulation of everything that's wrong with this club. Okay, I'm not blaming them entirely. And then you've got a coach that comes in with these ideas, principles, which I like. And then you ask him to take a set of players who sacked multiple managers, who down tools, they down tools and they will down tools again. Asking him to somehow meld these players into something that they're not. You can't make Luke Shaw a better player. You can't make Maguire younger and a better player. You can't make Casemiro younger and a better player. You can have the argument that Bruno Fernandes could be played in 10. Bruno Fernandes hasn't been great for 2 years. His stats hide what he's been. He was part of the 7-0 defeat. Now, Bruno Fernandes hasn't been great for years, right? So there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with his formation, the tactics. But if Amorim wants to fall on his sword with the principles and the formations, he's going to get sacked. I was of the opinion, and I still am, at the start of the season, you don't pander to these players, right? You shouldn't pander to these players. And you should absolutely, in life, you should absolutely go by what you think is right. Okay? But if you don't have the things to do the thing you need, you've got to adapt to what you've got. And that applies to anything in life. If you've got to do something and you don't have the best tools to do it with, you've got to adapt. And Amorim isn't adapting. If you want to survive at this club and show people what you're about, people will. I'll say this. If Amorim was to change to a back 4 and move some players around and go against the principles that he set himself, I would respect him so much more, because it's not an admission that you're a poor coach. What you're doing is you're saying to the fan base, I hear you. I want you to know that this is going against every principle that I believe in, but this move is for you guys. This move is to make sure that I produce performances that, look, they're still not going to be great, but then if he goes to a back 4 and these performances still happen, who's to blame then, right? So I'm with Dino. Right? I think that Amorim should, for now, be the bigger man. To look, I'm going to go back on the principles that I have. I'm so committed to this club and you fans. I'm going to go back. I'm going to show you what these players are, and then at the end of the season, get rid of those players and bring in your players. Look, I want this manager to survive, but he has to adapt and he has to survive. So that for me is issue 1. Look, the stubbornness of this manager are his principles bigger than United? And that's what I'm trying to figure out here. I've always said this. Any manager, any player that puts his own ambitions, his own stubbornness before this club, they can piss off. So I'm just trying to work that out. Let's go through the chat before we go into the next thing. Lemen's not going straight into the team was baffling. I agree. We have this season lost 4 Premier League games, and those 4 games we conceded first in this coincidence. I wonder if Bienda will get some new goalkeeper gloves from Santa. If we lose to Palace, I'm definitely Amorim out, says Simon. Simon, here's another one. Lucha on the bench last night wasn't used. He could have helped with his passing, especially against 10 men. I sort of disagree with that, Stephanie, because okay, no, actually, do I agree with it or not? If I don't agree with you on this one, I'm a hypocrite, right? So I'm going to agree with you in principle. Because what I said was Xerxes came on, or Xerxes played, right? And the excuses from some of you guys were, oh, Xerxes doesn't play a lot. Xerxes needs a run of games, right? And I said that, well, you need to be ready. As a United player, if you're playing, you need to be ready. If you're a substitute and you're called upon, you need to be ready to come on. I don't care. You need to be ready. Martinez has just come back from 2 years off. And I have to, my principles dictate that I have to agree with you. Don't put Martinez on the bench if he's not ready to play. I only want players on that bench who are ready to play. So as much as in part of me wants to go make an excuse and go, look, he's been out for 2 years, it's not fair. Well, don't put him on the bench. And so, Stephanie, actually, you are right. Bring him on. If he's not ready, don't put him in the sodding team. Scott says the pivot, exactly. OB legend, hi JB. The Amorim out agenda is very strong tonight. Remember, Ineos appointed Amorim knowing he will change the system, which is what everybody wanted to know. Amorim only been here a year. Look, and OB, look, I'm going to give you my opinion on it as well. The show tonight is designed for people who are Amorim out, right? It's also designed to talk about the facts. Let's talk about the facts. I'm going to give you ammo, right? But I want Amorim outers tonight to not only tell me, right? So this is going to be one of the key questions I want you guys to answer for me tonight. For those of you who are Amorim out, right? Who do you bring in, right? If you can answer me this question, right? If you can give me an answer to this question, then it might sway the thinking, right? Who do you bring in to sort this mess out? And what I mean is, and I'll explain what I mean. The Glazers need to go. The debt is crippling us. Ineos are disgusting. The football inside clearly have no idea what to do. They're running around like headless chickens. They have no idea. These players are an accumulation of awful players. Some of them are older. Some of them have zero idea. There's petulance. There's toxicity. All I'm asking you to do is, if you're Amorim out, can you explain to me who comes in to fix this mess? Like who comes in to fix this accumulation of players? That's all I'm asking, is who comes in and how do they fix this? How do they do something that Jose couldn't do? How do they do something that Ranić couldn't do? How do they do something that Oli couldn't do? How do they do something that Amorim can't do? Who's going to do something? Because these players are going to be here. That's all I'm asking, is how do they fix this team? Someone says, yeah. Obi says, sacking Amorim now, bringing in someone else is laughable. And honestly, lack of knowledge of what's going on at the club. The Glazers, Luke Shaw, Delow, Ugarte, no midfielders, no bench. Obi, I'm refraining just for now to give you my opinion on it. But look, I'm somewhere towards you. Nikaruchi says Amorim needs to have a better squad depth. Trying to enforce his tactical philosophy. Doesn't have a plan B, which I'm sure as hell, besides his squatting in the dugout with his hands. Obi says, Steph, that Amorim out agenda is tonight, isn't it? I blame the board. Has anyone seen the squad depth and bench? Which top teams would start? 11. I agree with you. Usain Bolt is Usain Blob. Now he's out of shape. If Amorim does survive a 2 years syndrome, can't see him surviving another. Rate our midfield and striker versus all the teams in the Prem. That's on the Glazers and the Ineos. I agree with you. I do. This is why Xerxes isn't picked, because he's not good enough. I agree. When Cunha does return and Sheska, then I can see Xerxes play more before Jan. Sorry, everyone, with all the love to the same club, but I'm Amorim in. Look, Amorim in, Amorim out. Look, this the one thing about this channel that I love, right? It's not me. Look, I just come on, I just talk some stuff. Is the different opinions on here? You know, you some of you are Amorim in, some of you are Amorim out. I will give you my opinion as to where I'm at as well. But that's the whole point of this. The whole point of this is, as a fan base, we need to come together and come to a conclusion. We're not going to, but I think it's really interesting points that we absolutely have to talk about this stuff. Joe says Stephen says, Joe, we've had the weakest midfield in the Premier League for a long time. I do agree. Pete says, you can't beat 10 men. You can't beat 10 men. Absolute jokers. You can't beat 10 men. Get Big Sam. Pete, thanks, mate. Banter is welcome here. Look, it's nice to see good old banter, Pete. Look, mate, we don't mind banter. Like, I don't mind the banter, my friend. It's good old-fashioned banter. You know, that's meant in a good way or a bad way. But look, good old-fashioned banter is absolutely fun, because at the moment we're a meme. We are a banter club, and it's not good. Steph, exactly. And top of, we have a 22-year-old striker that's never played in the Premier before. Amorim looks at his bench thinking, I agree. I'm manager until they are no longer there. Alex Ferguson is brought out of retirement to steady the ship. Leo says, playing with 3 defenders against 10 man is criminal. I agree with you. Bringing Keno, he played 5 at the back against Grimsby too. Absolute joke of a manager, to be fair. Don't even talk about Grimsby, Pete. What a travesty. Amorim in, Amorim out. Sounds like hokey cokey. Amorim in, Amorim out. Shake it all about. Arteta built 3 wins to challenge top 5. The Primot says, I would prefer a different manager and different system, but no clue who comes in. Nothing changes until Ineos and the Glazers are out. Mate, look, I'm with you. That shirt is there for a reason. I am with you. So he says, there's no quick fix. The squad is crap. Football's crap. Followed this club for 50 years. I've never seen it as bad as this. Coventry City, says Steve. Yes, my friend. If you don't stop the rot soon, you'll be going down. Come on, Pete. Come on, mate. Look, going down is not on the agenda right now. Maybe we'll have that conversation at some point, but it's not right now. Either or permanently relegated to the bottom 8. Look, so let's give you some more ammo. Bruno Fernandes. The Obi says, does his people not realise the club will take 5 years with the same manager to rebuild? You finished 15th last season. Look, mate, Pete, I've been banging on about that the whole of this season, mate. I've said consistently, go back and watch me. I've said consistently, we finished 15th last season with these set of players, right? We've still got them. Anything's possible. We're not going to have a better season as last season in terms of points. I don't believe that we will. We're not going down, Pete. Look, that's your opinion. We're not going down. Look, let's have that conversation, Pete, in 9 games' time, right? If in 9 games' time we're going to do what we could do, then we can have that conversation. But until that time, there's no point, right? You know, Liverpool could go on a 10-game. Right, let me give you an example, right? Because one of the things I do like to do on here, right, is I'm happy to go live and and we'll put theory to the things that you say, right? So look, let's go on this, right? So United at the moment are 10th position with 18 points, right? Liverpool are on 18. They've lost 6. We've lost 4. Tottenham are on 18. Everton are 18. Liverpool are on 18. Sunderland are 19. Palace are 20, right? Villa are 21, right? If we beat Palace, then what's goal difference? 0. If we beat Palace, we go above them. So this is what I'm saying to you, Pete. Look, right? If we win 2 games, we're back in the top 4 or 5. I'm not talking about that conversation. I'm not even getting into that. But look, Pete, I get that, mate. Look, I'm not saying we're going to beat Palace. I'm not suggesting that we're going to beat Palace, right? I'm not suggesting it at all, right? But what I'm saying to you, relegation talk at the moment is preposterous on the basis that, mate, we are 11 games into the season, 12 games into the season, right? In 9 games' time, that may be possible, right? But you can't say it now. You can do, but to say that we'll be going down is a conversation that it's not for now. I respect the opinion, but it's not for now, my friend. Let me go back to the chat. Let's have a little look. Nick said, "In off, I'm all for letting Amorim stay and see the season, providing we allow him to get his team. Amorim's trying to build his Lego set with missing pieces. I know the teams that come up this year are far stronger than last year. I don't disagree. How is it possible that people think Roy Keane is average? I don't know, mate. It is ludicrous to me. I don't know, my friend. When you finish 6 points behind Everton the last season, before then expect to win the next season easily. We don't, mate. I don't. It's not disrespect, right? Everton came and played well, right? We were terrible. Everton didn't blow us off the park in terms of they did something so great that we played well, and Everton was so amazingly fantastic that they smashed us to pieces. That wasn't the game. The game was we were so abjectly terrible, like we made Dewsbury Hall look like prime, look like Perlo. Like we made Everton look better than what they were. I'm not taking anything against their performance. Everton deserved to win the game. But let's also be fair. We were terrible as well. Sell Ugarte. We should sell Bruno to Saudi Pro League. Money up front. We can get 3 decent players in cash and sell players in the January window. Pete says, Adam clearly has a great video about your last season and how you and the Spuds were lucky to escape relegation. I'm not disagreeing with it. Any other season, if it was this season and we got those sorts of points, I'm not disagreeing with you, Pete. I'm not disagreeing with you one bit. But the fact remains that we didn't go down. The facts remain that we are 3 points off of 4th, 5th. Whether you like that or not, we didn't go down. It's an irrelevant point. And so people can make videos all they like. People can pontificate. People can talk about how we should have gone down. We didn't. And at the moment, we are 3 points behind 4th or 5th. So that's all I'm saying. He's trying his best with the players he have. It says only one team has in 122 years of top flight, more than any club ever. You're not beating Palace. I'm not going to disagree. JB, what you should do is a stream about the problem at United. Let's break down the complex layers and look at the board, the depth, coaches, fitness, team, players, and depth. OB, I have done a video similar to that, my friend. I have done a video similar to that that talks about that. I can do one again that goes in depth, but there is one, I think it's called Problem with the Glazers. I have done that. I've broken it down into what I believe the problems are. But look, again, I've done on as well as to why Sir Jim can't afford the club, and I have done one on the Glazers and what they've done to this club. Steve says we have a joint ownership that's solely focused on lucrative stadium plans. They should be put in prison for what they've done to Old Trafford. Steve, mate, I've been saying this, mate, for a long time as well. And the manager, exactly. Definitely says Jay and Steve Distraction FC. Next 5 matches will be okay. Top 6 this year, God willing. Amorim doing the lack of quality in front of goal. They'll all come, and also mistakes in the midfield. I would, if you would give me top 6 now, I would bite your hand off. I don't think that's going to happen. Scouting as well, I agree with you. 4 points in the next 5 matches. I'm saying, look, Pete, I can't disagree. I can't disagree. I'm not going to disagree with that, because I don't know right now. I take each game at a time. In fact, what I do is I take each moment as it comes. I take each 10 minutes as it comes. So I'm going to stop predicting results, because I just can't do it. Amron needs to stay. I think Lemens should have saved it, to be fair, says Pete. Our last match at Everton was 2-2. It's a good job they were down to 10 men. The Primer says there's a lot of very complete plays in the squad. No matter the quality of performance, they retain the spot in the 11. Pete Lemens tried Roy Keane average. There's not a modern day player that even comes close to Keane. Barton, though, was a big balls, but quickly found out when he went to Scotland. I still think he has channeling prime Anana. Steph for manager for me. Pyramid mate is because we have no one else fit enough. Pete, I agree. Pickford, glory man. United, it will come, God willing, and come to one of those teams. And look, mate, as much as I respect that opinion, this has got nothing. This has got nothing to do with God. This is to do with the Glazers. If you're referencing heaven and hell, the Glazers are the embodiment of the devil. Let's just keep going. Pickford isn't England's number 1 keeper for nothing. Steve says, how many years now we've had a team that will put in a performance against decent teams and they're scrutinised, they can't be asked. Honestly, don't know why you guys don't go for Donnarumma, because we couldn't afford him. You get the goose version of Pickford. Let's have a little look. After seeing Maine's performance, should he get more game time or still go ahead on loan? Get him gone. Get him gone. Look, we don't have depth, right? Unless we get a replacement for Mainu has to stay. If we don't get a replacement for Mainu, then Mainu has to stay. We don't have the squad depth. We keep selling the wrong players. Bruno has missed. Bruno missed before Everton. Handbags sent an off as pivotal too. Pete, I question why the creature will. Yeah, no thanks to Donnarumma. I always wanted Lemens, and we need to build our team. So I'll go through some of the more Amorim sort of bad points, and then I'll come on to my opinion, and I'll give you my opinion on that as well. Bruno Fernandes. He's going to live or die on that hill. I said at the very, very start when it all happened, if you rely on one of these players, they're going to... Tiger King says, I swear down, you may think I'm overacting, but I won a taxi for Pep. Interesting opinion there. Bruno Fernandes could be the decision that destroys him. Not only keeping him, but also playing him out of position. Bruno hasn't played well for 2 years, and that decision baffles me completely. The next thing for me is, look, the in-game decisions that he makes are, I think, sometimes are ridiculous. Again, it is lack of depth. But when Everton are down to 10 men and you're at home, why do you maintain a back four? Sorry, a back five. I don't get it. This persistence with the Portuguese friends, I don't get it. This persistence with the pivot, and it baffles me. It absolutely baffles me. So it's the stubbornness, the failure to adapt. Bruno Fernandes, and you can also talk about the ratio as well. Now, where am I at on the Amorim issue? Let me just read these chats, and then I'll tell you where I am, and I'll give you all of my reasons. Pete Donnarumma is mercenary. We don't want him. That's how we are being gutted out. Yeah, I agree with you. Where is Bruno's next goal coming from? He has to end his goal drought. You guys need a class manager. 5 at the back at home. Yeah, I agree with you. More likely to be a pen. We need goal scorers. What's Pep going to do with Luke Shaw, Dalot, Ugarte, Casemiro, Mount, etc.? Efficiency on the finishing. It's more than that, my friend. So where am I at with this coach? I am more than ever Amorim, right? I am backing this manager. For all Amorim's faults, this is not Amorim's doing, right? The Glazers and Ineos over the last 10 to 12 years have made some of the most irrational, disgusting opinions that I've seen at this club. They have thrown managers under the bus. They have put this club in debt. They continue to put this club in debt. This club is £1.2 million in debt, and that encapsulates not only the original debt, which they've never paid. Ineos have never paid a penny of their own money towards this club. They've taken it out. We've got £500 million of transfer and amortization debt, right? We've accumulated a squad of low IQ, injury-prone, high-costing players that have done nothing. And then in Ineos's wise decision, Ineos came in and decided to prop up the Glazers. They had no business. Ineos were going to go bust. We had an opportunity to do something else. Whether or not I like the decision, I've given you before my opinion on the ownership that I would like. It's not realistic, but I would like an ownership of fan-led. So the fans own 51%, and then you have somebody else who comes in and is more of a custodian. Who's more of an impartial person, who is a custodian, almost put the club into trust, and the clubs own it, the fans own it, and it's a wonderful thing, but that's never going to happen, right? You then bring in a manager. Who was to a team in its history have never played with a back five, right? Played many variations of a back five: 4-4-2-2, 4-3-2-1, 4-1-1-2-1, right? Played all sorts of stuff, right? And then you ask a manager, and by the way, these players, who everyone says we need to put it into a back four, a 4-3-3, etc. These players failed to do it under Van Gaal, Jose, Oli, Ranić, Ten Hag. They've played that system. They can't play it, right? So Amorim's come in and inherited a bunch of players that are not his. The January window, he came in the November. Ineos had plenty of time to forward plan and give him players. They give him Dorgu, right? How is a manager who Ineos handpicked, who plays a completely different system, how can he change these players around? You can't make Luke Shaw faster. You can't make Maguire younger and quicker. You can't make Casemiro. Casemiro's been dog shit for 3 years. Sancho, Rashford, Højlund. He's done his best, right? So we finished 15th, right? Summer comes along, right? There were positions that we needed. There were positions that I believe that we were fully stocked in. The number 10 position, right? Did we have to go and get Šeško? Did we have to, did we have to go and get 2 number 10s? Would we have been better served to get a sort of midfielder, right? We didn't do that. This club decided, instead of going to fix the spine of the team and give Amorim, look, Amorim was promised Quenda. Amorim was promised Gyökeres. He didn't get any of his first team. A Delap was supposed to come in. They didn't get him. So Amorim was then left, and this club decided, and this is what the club decided to do because it's so obvious. They decided what they would do is go and get 2 number 10s who that they could get, who are in the top 4 for Premier League goals and assists, and went, we'll get you these 2 because we know that they can that they can come into this team and they're basically going to replicate what they did, right? And then we're going to go get you a striker because we're going to panic buy and get a 22-year-old striker with no experience and nobody there to back him up with. If you go through the history of this fucking club, if you go through this history of this club and you look at Brian McClare, Mark Hughes, Andy Cole, Dwight York, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Solskjaer, Sheringham, Hernandez, Rooney, right? Whenever we brought players through, Fergie always went and bought experienced players. Up front, you need experience. You need somebody confident to say, give me the ball. Šeško is not that yet. Any player that Fergie had brought into this club, in terms of a striker, has always been older. Andy Cole was, 25, 26? On the back of a 40-goal season. We've expected a 22-year-old striker twice, by the way, Højlund before him, Šeško now, with no experience, with This is what I've said before with these players, right? When you had Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, Pallister, Bruce, Schmeichel, Cole, Hughes, McClare, Keane, Cantona, Parker, Irving, right? When you've had those players in, when you bring a player in to those players to train, right? You've got winners, you've got leaders, you've got people that will fight for you on that pitch. We don't have that. Any player that we have that comes into this team that needs to be taught in the ways of this club. We've got fucking Bruno Fernandes. We've got Bruno Fernandes, who is our captain, who is supposed to lead these players by example. Bruno Fernandes, petulant, waste of time, moans on the pitch. As a fan base, we pin up Maguire, right? We pin up Maguire because his mentality is so great, because he had the captaincy and got taken off of him for being shit, and then he's come back into the team, right? Maguire is so great. Oh, we love Maguire. His mentality is so great. Never mind the prick's getting paid nearly 200k, right? He's so good. Let me tell you something, right? And I've used this many, many times. David Beckham, when he came back from the World Cup in 1998, the way that he was treated was disgusting. He was booed. There were people burning effigies of him. There were people tying things around things' necks and chucking them over the bridge. The things the guy had to put up with, I can't even tell you. It was gross, right? He came back to this club and he had people like Roy Keane, Scholesy, Irwin, right, backing him up because we had that core of players. When you're talking about epitome of like the mentality, Beckham, I can't even tell you the respect for Beckham that I have. Roy Keane on that pitch was a leader, standing up to Vieira, right? The battles that he had on the pitch. Juventus, right? Juventus. He dragged us through that game. Mentality monster. Ryan Giggs, for whatever you think about that person, came into this team at 18 years old and held down his place. Came into this team at 18 years old. Roy Keane, Scholes, Beckham, Giggs, Pallister, wanted to win every single game. Training was a match in itself. There was no hold bars. In training, when you came into this club, and there were instances of Vidic, Evra, Cristiano, right? They came into this club and they were battered, kicked, because they needed to know that you were a United player, right? What have we got now? We've got Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount, Casemiro, Rashford. We had Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw, when he was interviewed at the start of the season, reckoned that we could win the Premier League. Right? What the fuck are you talking about? You can't. You were out for 2 years, so we have been so starved. I mean, look, I feel sorry for those of you who have not seen us in our prime. And when I say that, again, Rooney. Let me use him as a modern example. When Rooney came into this club at 18 years old, and I need to emphasise this, he was 18 years old. One of his first games was against Fenerbahce, right? He scored a hat-trick. One of the goals that he scored, free kick, right? Giggsy was over the free kick. At that time, Giggsy had been here for God knows how many years, right? Wayne Rooney took the ball off of him and said, "Give me the ball." Right? He took the ball off of Giggsy and scored a hat-trick. Those are the monsters that we need. Not Harry Maguire. He had the bad time. People were mean to Harry Maguire. But guess what Harry Maguire did? He stuck in there and he came back. Well done, Maguire. Those are the players that we don't need. If Harry Maguire is the pinnacle right now of a mentality, we're fucked. Because right now we don't even have the basis. We don't even have core. You can see Cunha's been infected by it. Shesko's been infected by it. Dorgu's been infected by it. Ugate's been infected by it. And the point of my rant is that is not down to Amorim. If you've got a core of players and a 13-year history of toxicity and players that have been absolutely destroyed, you've given this basis to a coach. What is he supposed to do? What is he supposed to do? There is no formation in this world that's going to fix it. If you go back to a 4-3-3, these players played a 4-3-3 under Ollie, under Ranić, under Ten Hag, under Van Gaal. They still dropped. They still down tools. So the point here is that how can Amorim be blamed for the toxicity of a club that has been built up probably since before Fergie? Fergie won a team. I do need to say this. Fergie won a team with Cleverly, right? Fergie, we were in demise probably from 2000 and whenever they were here, right? But how can Amorim be blamed? Until Amorim needs to purge this team. Like Amorim needs to purge this team. Amorim is not at fault for these players. Amorim is not at fault for this club. Amorim is not at fault for what we are. Amorim's been asked to come in to do a job with the wrong tools. So I'm Amorim in because I don't want to sack another coach. Amorim hasn't been given his players. If you give Amorim his players, right, and then he gets sacked because their performances are crap, no problem with that. No issue. I don't want to sack another manager with excuses, right? Amorim could get sacked and the excuses are, he doesn't have his players. He doesn't have this. I want my conscience clear. I want Amorim to get his team, and then I want him, if he's going to be sacked, He needs to be sacked. There can be no excuses. As a fan, I don't want to see yet the Glazers get away with it. I don't want to see these players get away with it again. This is player power, and these players need to go. So I am Amorim in. I am more Amorim in than I've been. I do not. Look, I blame sometimes Amorim. The one thing I blame with him is the stubbornness, right? The Bruno thing is on him. Playing Bruno out of position is on him. Some of the tactics are on him, but what is he supposed to do? If you play a 4-3-3, I guarantee you these players will capitulate again. We've accumulated players, and this is now on Ineos to solve the problem. You need to give Amorim players, and unless you do that and get rid of this sack of shit, there is no manager who's going to come in. If I thought for a second there's a coach that could come into this and improve this squad, I would have to think about it. There is no manager in world football that's going to come in here. The first thing they're going to say, I want to get rid of these players. We can't afford to do it. Let me go through the chat again. Just saw one in there from Steph. I wanted to answer that one. Question, JB, do you think METV has been part of the blame for making our play soft? Of course. Look, it's this whole player high five nonsense. There are team pictures of them, like holding hands and giving each other a kiss. Like, I don't mind all that, right? But it's this. We've lost our identity. We don't have those. Ineos. The Glazers before have gone out and bought the wrong players. Amorim knows what this team is. Amorim is not stupid. There's a lot of us who think that Amorim doesn't have a clue. Amorim's an intelligent man, whether you think it or not. Amorim is an intelligent man. He knows. And what I don't understand about this fan base at times, Ranić called it out, right? Amorim is literally calling it out on the pitch. And we are ignoring it. There are a massive amount of fans who are ignoring what Amorim is saying. Amorim is laughing. The press conference that just went by, he laughed and snorted because he said, you don't know what you're going to get with this team. And he's right. Like, Amorim doesn't hold back. Amorim doesn't defend these players. He knows what he's got. Xerxes come on. And I get it. Amorim has been here for a year. This team is going to take years to fix. This team is going to take a number of years to pick. And a knee-jerk reaction to, in my opinion, the Everton game is on the players, partly on the manager, but the manager can't make Fernandes run. He can't make him tackle. He can't make these players IQ. He can't fix Luke Shaw. He's playing Luke Shaw because he doesn't have a choice. There is nobody else to play. This is now on Ineos to act. If Ineos don't act, I don't need to say anything. Amorim will get sacked. It is, look, Amorim will lose his job if these players are still here. If Ineos don't back him, then he's gone. As simple as that. So let's get through some of your chats. Let's have a little look. Okay. Obi says Pep and Aguero, when they signed Alvarez, he's an Atletico player now, but that kid didn't go straight into the team. He was the bench player. That's how it was done. Exactly, I agree. Physical presence is not all about size. Keno and Robbo weren't the biggest, but they were tough and fearless. They were. So Alex Ferguson slowly filtered in the class of 92. He didn't expect them to be prime players instantly. He did properly back in there and slowly filtered them into the first team. And Obi, mate, that's a cracking point, because there is in my opinion, there is a myth about the class of 92. And what I mean is that people just think Ferguson lifted Scholesy, Beckham, Neville, Butt, Philip Neville, picked them up, put them into the side, and they were made. People don't realise that he integrated them. Giggsy was probably the only one, but Beckham came into the team for a season, played a couple of games, went out on loan, come back, was great. Scholesy had a bit part in one of the seasons or 2 seasons, second or third season, brilliant. These players were introduced at the right time, and they were also in their 20s. They weren't. Neville, I think, was 18. There were a couple of them who were 18, but on the whole, they were round about 20, 21 years old. They didn't just get pushed into the team. But what people have to realise, which I think they don't, these players came into a team of Keane, Schmeichel, Hughes, McClare, Kanchelskis, Pallister, Bruce, then Ronnie Johnson, Henningberg. Henningberg, I think, had just won the league with a Blackburn. He came into the squad. They had leaders. So he didn't just pick them up and lift them into the side and they became the leaders. They had to learn from the leaders. This is what we don't have. The formation is rubbish. The subs Amorim makes are rubbish. Now, the way we're playing is boring. Yes, we need signing, but who we want to come in because we play. Yeah. Accident-prone Shaw has been with us for 10 years. No testimonial does he deserve one. Look, it's not personal with Luke Shaw. Does Luke Shaw deserve a testimonial? Yes, he does. Right. I'm not taking that away from Luke Shaw. Like, it's not personal. Right. If you've been at this club for 10 years, irrespective of whether you deserve to be here or not, he has been. And I think as a mark of respect to previous players, as a show of, as a fan base and as a club, we are above certain levels. There's a tradition that we should hold, and we give him the testimonial because we absolutely should do, because we are better. We should hold ourselves accountable. We should hold ourselves to higher standards, and that's why for me he should 100% get one. Cristiano was a bench player for a while until he became the first team player. I still think Maguire should have gone to West Ham. I do agree. To that. Joshua, we don't have a bench to rely on. That's what thinking of. Yeah, I do agree with that. Absolutely agreeing with what are the proposals and solutions. We get players in. We get rid of the Glazers. We get rid of the Glazers. We get rid of Ineos. We get rid of the debt. We purge the club. We purge the club of the players. If it means we purge the club and the manager has to go, reluctantly, I would do it. If it means purging the manager at the same time as the players, the manager, the board, Ineos, Sir Jim, the Glazers, purge it all. Purge it all. Fergie had world-class players. The players we have today are average. I agree with you, Reva. We had such a weak bench for the Everton game. We bloody well did. Amorim is the one who is putting Bruno in the midfield. I can't disagree with that, my friend. I would love to see a shortlist should Amorim get sacked. I agree that, but Ineos didn't buy Cunha in Burma to be bench players. 70 million needs to sit on the bench while Bruno cries. We are after quite a list of midfielders in Jan to choose exactly which ones we really need to make some concrete moves to get them instead of. Look, Simon, mate, we're not doing it. But we're not doing it. I've said this before. I've said this many times before. The stance that we're going to take, that we've been taking, is this. If you listen to Wilcox, if you listen to Amorim, what they've said already is we're only going to sign players that we think will be here for the long term. That means there's no value in the market. Conor Gallagher will be the only signing that I believe that will make. Anything else will surprise me. Anderson is not coming. Anderson's not coming either way. Anderson is not coming to this club now or January. He's not coming. Baleba will be the one that will come in the summer. I think he's perfect for us. I think he is a low mentality. I think he is a up and down player. He will just be like every other player that we've got. The Gomez one for me. Look, if you're a betting person, Gomez could be the only other one, but I don't see him coming in. Like we're not. Amorim is not getting backed. Amorim is not going to. I will be floored if we make any sort of move in the market. We will not be making moves. Crystal Palace, he's a better right back, better midfield, better striker. That's all on the board and recruitment team. I agree. We will win at Palace because of the embarrassment. Steve, I don't think we will, mate. I don't think we will. I don't think we will. There are games where I think that we can bounce back from. Palace away is going to be just awful. We will get beat. Palace will beat. We will not get a bounce back at Palace. Palace are they're teams know how to beat us. Amorim's going to continue to play this, and we know Palace know how to beat us. We will, unless Amorim completely changes this side, we will set up defensive. I can tell you now, defensive back five. Mazraoui will play. Probably will Dorgu play? No. Luke Shaw will play. De Ligt will play. Yoro will play. Casemiro will play. Bruno will play. Cunha will play if he's back. Mount will play. We'll get beat. What players from the current squad would you get? Okay, you ready? I would get rid of a Delo. He'd go. Luke Shaw would go. Maguire would go. Casemiro would go. Fernandes would go. Xerxes would go. Mazraoui would go. I don't care. Ugarte would go as well. Mason Mount would go. Bayinda would go. Can't think of anyone else who'd go. Kobe Mainu. I'd get rid of Kobe Mainu as well. Xerxes can go. Marion says, hi, hello, my friend. Amorim is 100% right. I agree with you. Big head society. Amorim will turn it around. Honestly, give him a new contract. There's no one else out there we would want. If you're being sincere, I agree to a point, but I'm also not dumb. I also accept that Amorim may not be the guy. I would not give him a new contract yet because there is no point. There is no point. If Amorim gets to the end of the season and we're finishing 15th again, he's going to go. I don't want him to go. Even if Amorim finished 15th next season, I'd want him to stay because I just don't see the point in sacking the coach. Scott says, Amorim. Steve says that the manager makes the in-game decisions. Steve, I'm not going to disagree with you, buddy. Amorim needs his own players, not ones from the past four managers. When he gets his own squad of players, he will become good. There is no fixing the squad of players, buying for them. Scott, talking sense, my friend. If we don't sign any players, then we're in. I agree, Simon. We are in deep doo-doo. Ineos signed Amorim. They interviewed him, knowing he won't change his system. The board needs to back him. If they sack him, it's on the board. Amorim has no options at all. I agree with you. Josh says, I want Amorim to succeed. By the way we are playing, I don't see the formation doing what we are still passing from the back. Questionable subs. I should have kept some loans for the bench. And again, look, you know, there are. I'm Amorim in more than I've been. Right. It doesn't mean that I accept some of the things that he does. It doesn't mean that I'm fully Amorim in. I'm not looking at it going, look, you know, there's a point where even I have to go, look, this situation is untenable. You can't sack players. The board is not going to get sacked. Ineos are not going to sack themselves. The Glazers are not going to leave. So the only person that gets sacked is the coach. Eric Harrison was pivotal. He was. You got me there with pivotal. Ineos handle all transfers in and out. Is nothing to do with Amorim. He played enough games to get one. The only two trophies missing are from Shaw's CV are the Champions League and the Premier League title. Yeah, but he's still shit. Good night, everyone. Great show. Legend. If Anderson comes, that won't be until 2026. I don't think he's going to come anyway. midfield is going to get Amorim the sack. Yeah, Josh, mate, I agree with you. Agree with you. Bruno Fernandes is going to get him the sack. I've said this, that pivot, Bruno Fernandes is going to get him the sack. Deloy, Maguire, De Ligt, Lucha, sure will play because that's what we got. 10th or below, he's got to go, or it's going to be the same. Look, Josh, I respect your opinion completely. And I'm not going to disagree with you. My view on it is slightly different, right? These players finished 15th last season. They're still here. I would give Amorim another season. I'd give Amorim at least another season, because if you get rid of these players, what you will see is a different team. If you give Amorim 3 midfield players, give him another centre back, a wing back, you will see a completely different side. We've got an opportunity here to do something different. We've got an opportunity here to do something that we've never done before. Why stop now? Why stop now? If we sack him, then we're going back into the cycle. I can't disagree with people that want him out, right? The stats are there, the performances are there. I realise that people don't think in the same way that I do, right? For many, many reasons. I've watched this club over 38, 39 years now. I've seen enough football. And just because I've seen, there are people that watched it longer than I. There are people that are younger than me, but they watch more football and they consume it than me. But I've been around football for 39 years. I've seen enough players, coaches to know when there's something there, and there is something there with him. It's just that he needs his players. Do you think there's any way back for Rashford? Would you want him back? And if so, no. Rashford is not for me. The only time I'd want him back is if basically Amorim got sacked and we needed a winger. We don't need the wages, and we don't need the ego. Amorim doesn't. Rashford doesn't want to come back. So for me, it's a big no. I wish him well. You know, I love the fact that Rashford has. I don't like some of the things that he's done, but what I admire about him is he said, "Look, I want to play football. I want to move." He's been ambitious, and like a Sancho, who's a waste of space. Rashford has gone and said, "Look, I can't work here now. What I want to do is I want to go away, and I'm going to improve my career." And I respect him for that. Look, go. Just if this loan doesn't work out for you, go and find another club. But at least he's ambitious. And look, he's achieved what he set out to do. He wanted to get back into the England squad, and that's what he's done. So there's a. I've just got an alert that says Amorim has been voted the worst head coach in the Premier League, which is really funny on the basis that Amorim got manager of the month, and because we've won 1-3-2, 1-2, drawn 2, lost 1. Suddenly he is the worst coach again. Just go figure. Cunha fit to play up front, keep Xerxes on the bench. Come summer, we need to make De Ligt captain. I agree. Top 6 or we top 7. Caf, mate, we'll be lucky to make top 10. Scott says, I think we get top 4 if we get the right players in the January window. Scott, mate, what I love about you, pal, is I love the optimism. What I love to see, right, is my job, as I see it on here, is not only to give you your opinion, to be level-headed, try not to be biased, but I do have an opinion, right? To give you your opinions, right? And just because I don't buy into saying that we're going to finish top 4 or we're going to win the league, doesn't mean that I don't want you guys to be enthusiastic. Like, I love the fact that you guys think that we can finish top 4. I want you guys to think that we can win the league. I demand we win the league every season, and that's not because I'm stupid. is because I have to hold this squad and this club accountable for the high standards. I've got no problem in you guys saying, I want to win the league, I want to get top four. I admire it, because I think as fans, you've got to be able to come here and you've got to be able to give that opinion. Scott, mate, I love you to pieces, buddy. I hope you're right. I don't know. I think we probably need more than 2. I just don't know if we're going to get them. If we don't get the signs, which I suspect that we won't, Amorim is in deep trouble. Obi says, second, Amorim won't fix our problems. I agree with you. I wonder who will be in the squad against Palace. Mbume, Maz, and Delo go to the AFCON. Do they go in the next game though? Next game is Sunday. I don't think they go just yet. I don't think. Cash says Amorim is into something. He needs just some quality players. It will come on winning and reconstructing of the academy. I agree with you completely. A second Amorim will set us back more. I do agree with you. Rashford is history. Did second LVG, Jose, Oli, Ten Hag fix our problems? Because everyone wanted them sacked. Now people say I never wanted Oli sacked, and they were look. OB, mate, you know we are singing from the same hymn sheet, right? I do not want this manager sacked. I did not want Oli sacked. I am manager in until there comes a point whereby it's his fault. This is not on him. Anyone know the score from tonight's games? Anthony was a waste of space at United. I agree with you. I never wanted Oli sacked. I never wanted De Gea sold. I currently don't want Amorim sacked. He needs at least one more season. Look, I agree with you. What they did with De Gea was disgusting. One of the most despicable, disgusting acts that I've ever seen this club do. Digsby's dinner. Hello, my friend. Hi, Tulip players. Hope you're doing extremely well. Okay, guys, and turn in. Have a good Wednesday or great stream, and hope we'll catch up on the next one. Cheers, buddy. You say Arsenal fans are disillusional. I don't say it, mate. If you've been here before, I think Arsenal are consistent. At the beginning, Arsenal fans were fucking delusional. Watching if I had to watch another Amorim, get him out, he ain't got a clue what he's doing. Amorim, get him out, oh, get him out. Amorim, he's a fraud, get him out. Even last season, there were players going, oh, he's a fraud, he's never going to win anything. Amorim, he's not the guy, get him out. I hope that we have the same, not the same board, but I'm hoping that Amorim is given the time. Now I'm backing this manager. I'm damn well sure. If Arsenal bottle the title this season, I'm damn well sure Arsenal fans, even though Arsenal have been top contenders, Champions League consistently, I guarantee that Arsenal fans, if Arteta doesn't win something this season, there'll be Arteta out again. If we sign 2 CMs in the winter, we'll take 5th. If we sign 1, we'll get Europe. Digsby dinner. Who do you support? We're not cooked. Arsenal. Bottle drops again this season. I don't. I Arsenal, mate. I don't know if Amorim is losing games with Munasa, right back, Anderson, Blaber, Hackney, Budia, Mateta, then it's a different story. Exactly. I don't want to keep. I won't keep up this formal season. You will drop point yet, but he's not. He's losing games with Delo, Shaw, Ugarte, Casemiro, Bruno. Exactly. OB, mate. These are all true. That was a Goldie impression, mate. It is. I just. There's another guy, and again, I don't like. Contrary to belief, I don't like calling people out, right? But there are so many things that I see out there about fans going mental about games, right? They do it for clicks. There's a guy that I've seen. I'm not going to mention his name. I think he's a bit of a wally. But he's basically he was on the biggest channel and then he left. Quite a chunky lad, and he goes to games, and basically after the Everton game, he just goes off on one. Pete, I'm not going to mention. It's really funny how you guys know, right? Look, he's a match going fan, and I completely respect it, right? I know content like has to be made, but it just makes me laugh, right? But it's reactions like that. It's like, oh, this side's terrible. Oh my god, this side's gonna die. Oh my god, I hate life. Oh my god, this team's horrible. Oh, these cowards can go. Oh my god. Like I just don't prescribe to that. Mate, I'd love to have a serious conversation with some of these guys. Like, I'd love to have just sit there after a match, and just sit there and just go, look, let's just stop all the bollocks. Let's just stop all this for click bait and for going over the top. I know it's frustrating. I know you are upset, but you need to be pragmatic. If you've got a channel, how is that unbiased? But he's just an example, right? You've got other people out there who do extreme stuff. You've got Liverpool fans who do it, and I get it. But the one thing that I will refuse to do on here is clickbait, right? I can't do it. I can't do it. I just can't do it. I find it embarrassing. I think it degrades you. I think it degrades me. I think we have to have an adult conversation. Don't get me wrong, it is frustrating at the time, and I will lose my shit. But there is a level that I believe that we have to. There is nothing wrong in voicing an opinion. There's nothing wrong in being angry, but there's just a way I think that you need to conduct yourself, right? But it's really funny, Pete and Brad, that you sort of know who I'm talking about. We all know it. Commented and said the only person that needs sacking is his dietitian. Hilarious. I'd rather watch Liverpool and City content than Goldbridge because he speaks rubbish, gaslight, and spreads fake rumours. He's clickbait rage bit channel. Look, Obi, I did a video today. I basically called him out. I don't give a shit. And the reason why, the reason why, today I called them out today, and I don't give a shit. It's there. I don't have a problem with him necessarily, right? The problem that I've got is the content that they make. So the reason why I called him out today, no, not him, but the reason why I've called out the channel today, because they're part of the problem, right? They're part of the problem. If you don't know, if you can't watch the games, right, and there are many people that can't, and you rely on channels like that, whether they like it or whether he likes it or not, they influence, right? And they're massive. What they say, people take up. There are young kids, people who can't watch the matches. And one of the things that pissed me off more than anything else was the video that they put out about winning the league. They were sat there, they were they were answering people's questions, but seriously, having a channel tagline where talking about winning the league, then they did one about doing top 4. And then to epitomize that, and look, I don't like talking about people, but again, I've got to bring this up. You've got Mords, right? Mumbling Mords, sitting there with an AC Milan top on, presenting a United fan channel show. Like, what fucking idiot, what moron goes on a United fan channel protesting to be a United fan wearing an AC Milan top? That tells you everything you need to know about the content. You know, it's a bit like me coming on here and wearing a I don't know, a Napoli shirt, and me trying to convince you that I support this club. Like, it just, and they're part of the problem. They're part of this spinning this fan base around, right? You've got Ineos toxic, the Glazers toxic. You've got fan channels. You know, whether people think that I'm part of it as well, that, you know, but there are fan channels out there who are so toxic that are spinning this fan base around. That what are you guys, what are young fans supposed to think? There are people in this fan base because of that channel who think that we can win the league. There are young fans who think that Maguire's brilliant. They watch and they lap up the content, and they've got a responsibility. And look, you know, whether or not people like Mark Goldbridge, right? I've always said this. I respect the hustle. I respect the things that he does. You know, I respect what he's built up. I don't necessarily disagree with his opinions. I don't agree with the way that, you know, he has almost become a meme. But I think some of the things he says are correct. But it's his channel. Like, if you're letting kids run a show, and I'm talking about Beth as well. I find her unpalatable at times. You know, she talks about, you know, Beth talks about United, right? She talks about, oh, we are United, you know, we've won leagues, we've been this and that. Like, Beth was about two. Beth has no idea about what this club was. In her mind, she thinks she does, but how it's a bit like me talking about Dennis Law, George Best. I know that we were a fantastic team, right? I know we were, but I can't talk about it. I didn't live that era. Like, I respect the era. I can watch it back, read it in books, but I can't talk about it with authority. I can talk about the Premier League with authority because I fucking lived it. Like, I lived that. It's not my fault. I lived that era. I lived Cantona era. I lived the 90s. I lived like 99. Like, I lived that era. And when you've got, and again, look, I'm not necessarily like having a pop at Beth, right? But it's people like that who get given a platform. I do think a lot of the things she says are okay, and I respect, you know, she's, you know, but I can't respect that when she tries to talk about authority when she has none, you know. And then you've got these other kids, these kids on the channel who just haven't got a clue, and it's not just them. It's just so much crap. There's so much spin from those channels. There's so much spin from the club. What are fans supposed to think? There is no. This is why, and we wonder why fans are so spun around, and you wonder why this fan base is so toxic at times. It's because you got to think about it. You've got fan channels. You've got the football is dying. It's awful. I mean, I've not seen Alice. I can't talk about her at all. I mean, I can't look. I don't necessarily watch. I don't really watch the biggest channel. I get sent clips, right? So I get sent clips. I got sent clips of an AC. Like, I didn't know like who he was, and then the first thing that I saw was this guy on a United channel with an AC Milan top on, right? But again, you know, look, I admire people who try to do this because this is difficult. This is fucking hard to do, right? Alice, I don't know. I can't comment at all because I don't know anything about her. But again, I'll respect the hustle. I respect the hustle completely. You know, I'm not gonna disrespect that, but they've got a lot to answer for, and I don't care. I literally don't give a shit if my channel gets cancelled because I know people are obsessed with that channel, and I know, you know, people are like disciples of it. I don't give a shit. It is time. It's time to call this crap out. It is time. It's time for something different. It's time for people to wake up, and, you know, I think be true to themselves. Let's go with what's going here. I always think that if social media was around at the beginning of Fergie's reign, how long would he have lasted? Nobody's willing to give the managers any time. That's why we fail. Obi said he talks rubbish because we're having to reset all the time. He doesn't even understand football or understand the difference between system or tactics or formation. JB, you can tell in the live chat who watches that channel because their comment is a load of rubbish due to them copying off what you said. Oh Lord, I can feel throw up with this team. What a sad day yesterday. I agree with you. I said I don't know anything about Alice. JB, you're talking facts because most of the channels don't even know who Kanchelskis is or the difference between a formation. Mate, I doubt most of these channels know who Brian McClare is. You know, Paul Parker. Paul Parker, one of the really underrated right back. Really underrated. You know, Keane. You know, people know about Keane, but they don't really know about Keane. Gillespie. There's Dublin as well, so nobody. I don't think people know that. You know, he started one of the first games in the Premier League. You know, they don't necessarily know about Andy Cole. There's just so many things that these channels have. Wally, I'm going to report you. Yes, you should definitely do it. I've been part of football and got FA certificates and coaching and scouting. Look, OB, mate, this is why I love this community, is because we've got so many different people on here. I went to a special sports academy for college and advanced courses. Look, OB, and I mean, this is why I listen, and this is why I read out your chats, right? This is why I'm always humble, right? Because I've watched this game for a very, very long time, right? It doesn't mean that I know more than you guys, right? I give you my opinion based on the things that I've seen, based on playing football. I've never played it at like a high level. I've played. I do some sports at like a high level, so I know what it means to train hard. I know what it means to put in the basics. Also, I've watched football for a very, very long time. But this is why I read out your chats. This is why it's important for me to listen to you guys, because you never know. You never know who's listening. You never know. And I feel very, very fortunate, OB, to like have you on here. I'm very, very fortunate to have all like you guys on here. And I am always open to be taught. I'm always open to listen to you guys, because I think we need opinions from experts. I mean, we need opinions who are not experts. We almost need opinions that are out there as well, because we need everything to come together, and we need to, you know, once you've got facts and once you've got different people's opinions, only then can you have a conversation. Can you have a fully informed conversation? PD says it. Look, mate. Mate, look. All I'm going to say is that, mate. I've tried to explain vertical run and horizontal run into pockets of spaces, integral passing to channels like that. They haven't got a clue, mate. You know, those sorts of channels have no. It's a media thing, right? It's a particularly the younger channels, because all they're interested in is clickbait. What they want to do is they want to come on screen and they just want to rant and rage. They don't want to debate. They don't want to debate. They don't want to answer the hard questions. They don't want to do the hard yards. They've not watched football. They think they have. They watched a couple of Premier League games and they think that they're experts. They've not watched football. Now look, I'm not gonna profess to be a tactical expert, but I know what I see. And it's coming to a point where there are some really good channels. I think there are some really bad channels, but I'm not surprised this fan base has spun around. It's just I just don't know. But look, guys, let's have a look, see where we are. I can't read your chat, my friend, but look, you're from Iraq. Welcome, my friend. The whole coaching staff and players has to answer for Dexter. You're right, my friend. You're right, Scott. Most of them thought Fred was shy. Clearly shows the lack of intelligence for football, because Fred's energy off the ball and pressing was amazing. Look, and this is why Scott McTominay at the time, this is why coaches loved him, because they saw the attributes that he had. Lo and behold, Scott McTominay leaves. Everybody wants him back because it's driven it's driven by the fan channels. JB, how about that pivot? Yeah, the pivot is not great, is it, right now? So look, guys, I am going to go. Nearly another 2-hour show. Absolutely love it. Fred was one of the best pressers I've seen. Look, and again, that there are players who are not going to get their flowers because of there are. The problem is now there are players that are going to be synonymous and tagged with. I like Harry Winks as well, actually, but there are players out there that are tagged with different things because there are people who tag them, and you're right. We're in a time right now where we've been spun around, and right now fans don't know which way is up. So I'm sure a Crystal Palace win will placate this fan base. I'm sure a Crystal Palace win will make this fan base like happy again. But look, we need to take each game as it comes, every 10 minutes in my view. But look, that's where we are. So look, thank you guys for being here. OB, thank you, my friend. Thank you for being part of it. Look, respect it, mate. I respect you all. I love doing this. It's become an obsession of mine. I like to think that this channel is trying to do something different from everybody else. We're not about clickbait. We're not about extremities. I'll always try to give you my pragmatic, level-headed view. Sometimes, like everybody else, I will have some staunch opinions, but look, that's what this channel is there to do. It's there to give you guys a place to vent. It's for us to chat, get our opinions out. We don't have to agree, but I think that's the beauty of channels like this. Scott says, great pivot as usual. Thank you, Scott. You know how much I can't stand that pivot. But look, guys, amazing show. You are legends of this channel. You make this channel what it is. Can only thank you so much for being here. I will be back tomorrow. I'm not sure what time yet because of work. Pivot out, lads. Salute you all, and thank you for being here, guys. So I will say good night. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, even wherever you are in the world. Bloody legends. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.